Hey y'all, it's Ashley Bookishram and I'm back with another video. So today I'm going to be doing kind of the second part to a video that people were asking me to do. So if you didn't know, about maybe it's close to a month now, it may only have been 3 weeks ago, I don't know. Time is a funny thing. I did the most banned and challenged books of 2020. I reacted to it and I did not realize that a lot of people didn't know that that list even existed, which is done by the Office of Intellectual Freedom by the American Library Association. So at some point in that video, I asked if people would like to see me do my reaction every year, which I got a lot of yeses. And then I also asked if people would like to see me react to the most challenge and banned books of all time. So what I'm going to do today is, it kind of is and isn't of all time. It's only going to cover the scope of 2010 to 2019 because that's what the Office of Intellectual Freedom from ALA has compiled. So it's about a 9-10 year span. Once again, I'm not doing math, probably is 10 years, the last decade. So we're just going to look at the last decade and kind of go with that. If I can find a list from ALA that does the entire time, then I will. I don't really trust any other lists because I know for a fact that the Office of Intellectual Freedom does compile this information all year long, and they pay close attention to cases and stuff that are really surrounding whether books are being challenged or whether books are being banned. And these are only cases that they're aware of. So there's probably some out there that they haven't even heard of, but I trust their office the most, so this is what I could find, and we're going to go through this. So there are 100 books here, and I am extremely interested in seeing what's on this list. I did not look at this list, I just saw the title and kind of went with it. I'm guessing that some of these books are books that I'm going to be familiar with, and others I probably have never heard of. These don't give the reasons, I think. I'm not sure, but I'm kind of feeling like they're not going to give the reasons why they're challenged or banned, but still, regardless, we can look at the titles. Okay, so as we see from the top of this list, it's the top 100 banned and challenged books from 2010 to 2019, and it just basically says in the beginning here that they've been documenting attempts to ban books in libraries and schools since 1990. They compiled this list by reviewing both public and confidential censorship reports it received. So like I said, some of these reports we would never hear about in general because some of them are confidential, but people do send it to their office. And they say here that 82 to 90% of challenges remain unreported, and this is what their office estimates, which compared results from several independent studies of third-party FOIA requests documenting school and library book censorship with the information in its database. So that is very, very interesting that even the books that the Office of Intellectual Freedom is documenting, they're still not capturing the majority of these cases, because that's the only way that they have access to these cases is if someone actually sends that information to them. Okay, so we can go ahead and start here. The first one on this list is, and I don't think these are in order of like number one is the top. I don't think that's how it's ordered. It doesn't say that anywhere. But number one is The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, which I know that this one has been challenged before because of content. I know that right now it is being challenged because of the fact of the accusations that have been made against Sherman Alexie. The next one, Captain Underpants. I'm actually not surprised by that. I have heard a few parents say that they find Captain Underpants to be inappropriate, and I'm not sure why, but I think it's because the underpants aspect of it. Number three, 13 Reasons Why. This is not shocking to me at all. This one started garnering a lot more attention before the accusations made against Jay Asher. 13 Reasons Why started gaining a lot of traction due to the release of the TV show. I remember when I was in my first year of grad school for library school that we had to read 13 Reasons Why, and it was around the time that the TV show came out, and it was a big issue everywhere. So I'm not surprised to see this one. A lot of people felt like 13 Reasons Why romanticized suicide, and that the show actually increased the number of attempts throughout the nation. I don't know how true that is, but there was a lot of conversation going on about this book before the accusations came out about Jay Asher. Looking for Alaska, not surprised by this one either. It's been a while since I've read Looking for Alaska. I know the TV show just recently came out on Hulu within the past year or so, but I think that that one's solely for some explicit content, and then also I don't want to spoil the book, but reasons if you've read the book. Number 5 is George, which, no surprise, George is on that list every single year, y'all. George always makes the list without a doubt because of the fact that it focuses on a young trans girl, and people are not happy about George. It's a lot of pushback that I see all the time. Even libraries and librarians to some degree feel shaky about George. It's a great middle grade book. If you've never read George, I highly recommend it. Number 6, Entangle Makes 3 is a picture book. And Entangle Makes 3 is about it's two penguins who are the same sex that end up in a relationship, and they actually give them kind of like an adoptive egg to raise as their own child. And this is based on a true story. So a lot of people don't like it, and I find it interesting because it is an event that actually happened in real life. Drama, this is a middle grade graphic novel, and I have not read Drama, so I'm not sure why it's ever been challenged. I think that Drama does have some queer rep in it, so that's possibly a reason why that one has been challenged. Of course, we have 50 Shades of Grey. Naturally, people are going to challenge that. I think 50 Shades of Grey is definitely coming from a public library, not a school library or just in the school in general. I know that there is a system that refuses, a library system that I've heard through the grapevine, that refuses to purchase 50 Shades of Grey for their collection because it has erotic content in it, and they don't want that in their library system. So that's unfortunate. 11, The Kite Runner. I'm actually surprised by this one. I have not read The Kite Runner in a very long time, but I don't know why it would be challenged. I'm sure if I reread it again, I could probably see the content of why people would challenge it. Let's put it this way. I shouldn't even say it that way. I don't think any book should be challenged or banned, but I think that people nitpick certain content, and that's what makes them want to challenge or ban the book. Number 12, Hunger Games. I am not a fan of Hunger Games, but I'm sure that this one probably was challenged when it first was released, or around the time that it was released, because of the violent content in it. That's probably a definite. That probably came from a school library. The next one is I Am Jazz, which is also an autobiographical picture book by Jazz Jennings, who I had the honor of meeting back in 2018. She is the sweetest human on the planet. And if you don't know about Jazz Jennings is a trans woman, and this is just about her experience growing up and realizing that she was trans, and it's done in picture book form to make it more accessible for children. So once again, that's not one that I'm surprised people are attempting to ban. Same thing with The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I've never read The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I've seen the movie, and if the movie and the book are anything alike, I see the content that people would question. I think that it's so interesting just in all of these. Like, I can look at these books and basically know what content, the ones that I've read, I know what content people are challenging. I don't agree with it because I feel like things should be accessible to everyone, but there are things that people just don't want to see in books. And, you know, my first instinct is just to say, like, just don't read it. Don't read the book. The next one that we have here is To Kill a Mockingbird. Now, this one was challenged in 2020, I believe, because of not only the racism that was in it, but also, I believe, maybe like white savior complex. I don't know. It was challenged in a way that I wasn't expecting. So that was shocking to me to see the reasons behind that one, the way that one was challenged this past year. 16 is surprising. Bone by Jeff Smith is a middle grade graphic novel. I have no idea what someone would challenge Bone for. I personally think that kids love them. I haven't read any myself, but I'm intrigued. So now I want to read it to see like what about this would make people want to challenge it. Glass Castle's number 17. I've never read The Glass Castle. Number 18, Two Boys Kissing. I clearly, from that one, I'm sure people are challenging it because of the queer representation. Number 19 is A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo. I actually have never heard of that book, so I'm not sure what that one is in terms of why it's being challenged or why it's being banned. Number 20, Sex is a Funny Word. I actually have read that one. That is a children's nonfiction picture book that talks about reproduction. And I'm sure there are parents who are like, no, I don't want my child reading that book. Then don't let your child read that book. It's a very, very informative picture book. I read it maybe 3 or 4 years ago and I enjoyed it. I think that's one that I probably will reference for my own parenting. Number 21 is Alex McKinley, the series. I have not read that either, so I'm not sure why that one is being challenged. Same thing with It's Perfectly Normal. Same thing with 19 Minutes. I've only read one Jodi Picoult book, and that was the one about the sisters. I forget the title of that book. And then the next one is Scary Stories, which is so strange to include that one in this list. I think that that probably deals with scary occult type of content that people would try to make a justification for challenging or banning that one, but that's different. I would have never expected to see that on the list. Speak by Lori Halse Anderson. We talked about this one before in the previous video, that it was challenged because of the quote-unquote stereotype that it placed on males and the fact that it talked about rape culture. That one will always be challenged or banned as far as I'm concerned. I think Speak has appeared quite a few times. Number 26 is A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Not sure why that one is on the list. I think that that one has been said to now, like reading it now, present day, has been said to have had some racist undertones to it. I have not read that book in a while, so I don't know exactly what it would have been challenged or banned for. Number 27, Beyond Magenta, Transgender Teens Speak Out. Clearly this one is going to be challenged or banned for its queer rep. I have not read that one. Of Mice and Men, I haven't read that one in a while either, but I'm assuming that that one could have been challenged or banned because of a few things. Mainly I'm thinking of the ending scene of that book, which I don't want to spoil it just in case anybody wants to read Of Mice and Men. The Handmaid's Tale, I think that one's pretty self-explanatory in terms of why that one would be challenged or banned. I have not read The Handmaid's Tale. I've seen a couple of episodes of the TV show. Content-wise, it's pretty heavy in a lot of different areas, and I know there are a lot of people who are not okay with the content of that book. The Hate U Give, we talked about that one in the last video, where the Hate U Give is often challenged and banned for its supposed undertones of anti-police, which if I could roll my eyes all the way to the back of my head, I would definitely do that. 31 is Fun Home, a family tragicomic. Never heard of that one before, and I just lost my place. There we go. It's a book. I've never heard of that one either. 33, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Now this one has racial slurs used in it, and that's probably why it's been challenged or banned in places. I know that there's a lot of discussions about the place that The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn has in a English classroom setting, especially secondary, so high school. I know that that is a conversation that always happens. I don't think I ever had to read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, but it's one worth having a conversation about. Number 34, The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. That one definitely has a war element to it, so I am guessing that that could possibly be a reason why it was challenged or banned. I have not read it, and when I say war element, I should be specific. That book, I believe, takes place during Vietnam. Next one, What My Mother Doesn't Know. I've never heard of that one before, so I can't really give any commentary on that one. A Child Called It. So much controversy behind that book and whether the events of that book have been exaggerated. I know that there are quite a few people who question the author's retelling of specific events in that book, but that one probably has been challenged or banned because of the heavy graphic descriptions of child abuse. And I actually had no idea that that one had ever been challenged or banned, but it doesn't surprise me that it has been. 37, Bad Kitty. Bad Kitty is like these cute little children's like chapter books, but it's about a bad kitty. I would have never expected to see that on this list, and I have no idea why someone would want to challenge or ban it. That's very interesting to me. Number 38 is Crank by Ellen Hopkins. This one is probably challenged or banned because of the graphic descriptions of drug use and addiction. Ellen Hopkins, I believe, wrote this because of her daughter's own personal experience with crank, and I believe that crank is another name for meth. I could be wrong. I don't know all the quote unquote nicknames for certain drugs, but I believe that it's meth. If it's not, I'll correct myself at the bottom, but I definitely believe that that content is why it has been challenged or banned. 39 is Nickeled and Dimed. Nickeled and Dimed sounds really familiar. I believe it has to explicitly deal with the Welfare Act. I don't remember the exact details of the book. I have not read it, so I'm not sure why that one would have been challenged or banned. Number 40 is Persepolis, which is one of my favorite nonfiction graphic memoirs ever. And this one probably has been challenged or banned because there are pretty graphic descriptions of violence during the Iranian Revolution. There is graphic depictions of or discussions about sexuality. There are graphic depictions of, I mean, there's a lot of graphic content. It is a coming of age story, but it also takes place during the Iranian Revolution, which there was a lot of violence and death as a result of that. And I'm telling you, there is no holding back with that book, but it is amazing. The Adventures of Super Diaper Baby. I mean, if you're going to ban Captain Underpants, you're probably going to end up trying to challenge or ban Super Diaper Baby, which is another one that I haven't read. This Day in June is one that I have read. It is a picture book and it celebrates pride. Anything, honestly, y'all, to be quite frank, coming from a librarian's perspective, anything that has queer representation in it that gets a lot of push or marketing, especially those that are targeted towards younger age groups, it's gonna get challenged or banned. Like 9 times out of 10, I'm telling you it is. This one, Summer, is also a graphic novel. Not my favorite. I didn't really care for it. I'm thinking that this one probably was challenged or banned because of content related to pregnancy, and I believe that there was some, I can't remember if it was non-consensual sex that occurred in that book or not. I can't remember. But then there's also some harsh words that are used to describe women in that book. And this is all from the perspective of 2 minors. So that's a possibility. A bad boy can be good for a girl. I've never heard of that one, so I'm not sure. Next is Beloved. I have not read Beloved by Toni Morrison, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that Beloved does have some graphic content in it. I'm not sure what is the nature of that graphic content, but I'm sure it does exist. Goosebumps. Once again, anything that's like horror based, people feel like it may be the occult or witchcraft or evil, that I'm not surprised that that's on that list either. And Our Mother's House is a picture book, and it is about 2 women who are in a relationship, who are raising children. Once again, here we go again with queer representation being challenged or banned, especially in books that are geared towards younger audiences. Lush, I've never read that one. The Catcher in the Rye. I think that The Catcher in the Rye is always challenged. I can't remember the specifics of The Catcher in the Rye, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you. I can't remember the specifics because it's been so long since I've had to read that book. But The Catcher in the Rye has always been a challenge or ban classic, which I believe that the Office of Intellectual Freedom does have a separate category for classics that have been banned and challenged. The Curious Incident of the Dog of the Nighttime, I haven't read that one yet, so I'm not sure why that one, or I can't make any assumptions as to why that one has been banned or challenged. The Holy Bible, I'm actually quite shocked. I'm not gonna lie. I would not expect the Bible to be on this list at all. Like, I definitely would not, I wouldn't expect it to be, and maybe that's naive of me, but I wouldn't expect it to be. Number 53, This Book is Gay. I have not read that one. Number 54, Eleanor and Park. Now, this is an interesting one, and I wonder if Eleanor and Park has been challenged because of the insensitivity of the Asian representation of this book, or if it was challenged and banned for another reason. Because another thing that this list doesn't necessarily do is it doesn't, which I wish it did, is that it doesn't tell you the years that it was challenged or banned, which I really do wish that it did, because I think that would give us a little bit more context. So I'm interested in that one. Number 55, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. I have not read that one either. Number 56, Gossip Girl. I think Gossip Girl probably got challenged or banned for content. Probably the language and maybe sexual escapades. I don't know. I've only watched the TV show, which I don't think is similar to the books at all. And well, that's a lie. I think I've read one Gossip Girl book, but that's not enough to make a clear analysis. The 7 House of Night by PC Cast. Once again, this is paranormal. I think anything that could be perceived as being part of the occult is one that's going to be challenged. 58, My Mom's Having a Baby. I've never read that one before. 55, Neonomicon by Alan Moore. That clearly is going to be a graphic novel or a comic of some sort because it's Alan Moore, but I have not read that one. The Dirty Cowboy, which I haven't read that, but you know, it sounds like it's something right up my alley. The Giver by Lois Lowry. I am not sure why this one would be challenged or banned. I'm sure that there is an extensive reason behind it, but believe it or not, I have not read The Giver, and I have no interest in reading The Giver. I don't think I'm like a huge fan of like dystopian-esque type stuff anymore, so that is kind of, that ship has gone and sailed for me as a reader. Anne Frank, Diary of a Young Girl. I am not surprised by seeing that one on the list either, especially because of certain things that Anne talks about in her diary that people are not okay with. What, you know, for all of these, I just roll my eyes and I keep it pushing. I know I've said that already, but I have to laugh at some things that people are willing to do. Bless Me, Ultima. I haven't read that one either. 64, Draw Me a Star. Eric Carle is a picture book artist, y'all. A picture book artist and writer. Fade by Lisa McMahon. I believe that this is part of the Wake, Fade, Gone trilogy, which was kind of like supernatural, paranormal-ish type. It's been a while. I read the first two books. I don't think I ever got to the third one, and I just don't remember. So who knows? Who knows? It could have been during that wave of paranormal stuff and people are like, I don't want my kid reading that. The Family Book by Todd Parr. This is another picture book and it just celebrates different families. But I think that people would probably challenge or ban it because of the fact that it does go beyond what we consider to be the traditional or standard family. You know, mother, father, 2.5 kids, white picket fence, and a dog, which people still feeding into that lie. 68 is Feed. I have not read that one. Number 69, Go the F to Sleep, which to my knowledge, I think this is a parody book for parents, and I'm sure that people feel some type of way about it being a parody book. That's wild. Habibi by Craig Thompson. Now, this came out a while ago. This is a huge graphic novel that is set in a kind of Middle Eastern setting, and it has some graphic content in it. Another thing, I don't know Craig Thompson's background. I also have not read this. I don't know if people are challenging and banning it because of content or if it's not good representation, because you can get it twofold. Like, I think that a lot of times when we think challenge and ban, we are thinking about right-wing, conservative, not wanting anything dealing with any liberal-esque type of stuff in books, but that's not true. So I would be interested in knowing the true reason why that one has been challenged or banned. 71, House of Spirits. I have not read that one either. 72, Jacob's New Dress. It's another picture book about a young boy that likes to wear dresses. And of course, once again, you have a book geared at younger kids with queer rep. They always get challenged. Lolita, there's some predatory things going on in Lolita, so that's probably why that one was challenged. I have never read Lolita. I don't think I'll be able to ever stomach reading Lolita. 74, Monster by Walter Dean Myers. Not my favorite Walter Dean Myers book, but such a pivotal YA old school writer. It's paved the path for a lot of Black YA writers today. And Monster deals with some heavy content and I think that that one is, or that content is probably why it's been challenged or banned. Nasreen's Secret School, I've never read that one. Saga by Brian K. Vaughan, of course, this is a comic book series that deals not only with, you know, sexual content, there's also a lot of violence, which is why it's probably been challenged or banned. Stuck in the Middle, I haven't heard of that one before. Same thing with 78, The Kingdom of Little Wounds. 1984 by George Orwell. Once again, I think this is one of those classics that always gets challenged or banned. It's always up there. A Clockwork Orange, which I have not read. Almost Perfect by Brian Ketcher. I don't know anything about that one either. Not surprised to see The Awakening on this list. That's definitely because of content. Don't want to say much about it because it is such a short story that I don't want to spoil it by explaining what content would probably put it up to be challenged or banned. Burned by Ellen Hopkins. I read Burned such a long time ago, but I can't remember what it's about. But I will tell you that Ellen Hopkins books, especially the books that she has written in verse, you know, those thick Ellen Hopkins books. As a matter of fact, I need to go back and reread a lot of them. A lot of those books get challenged or banned because they deal with heavy topics. I remember my first time reading Ellen Hopkins as a young adult, and it is very shocking to read some of her stuff, especially because of the content. So anytime you see Ellen Hopkins on this list, I promise you it is because of the content. Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. I have not read that one at all. I don't have any intentions of reading that, and I'm not sure why that one has been challenged or banned, and I wonder if it's because of Orson Scott Card's beliefs. From what I've heard, I don't know if these books or if he as an author is homophobic, but yes, I'm not sure, but I wonder if that's the reason why. Fallen Angels by Walter Dean Myers. I have not read that one, so I'm not sure. Glass, once again, Ellen Hopkins. It's one of those situations where she has pretty graphic content in her books. But, I mean, honestly, Ellen Hopkins is one of those writers I think that captures some dark experiences of teenagers, but they're real. Because I think that our perceptions sometimes can be that teens basically don't go through anything. In a perfect world, they don't, except going through puberty and the emotional and mental changes of development. But reality is not that. And I think that Ellen Hopkins attempts to capture those experiences. So her content is often considered to be very graphic in nature, and it is, but I think it's true to some people's life's experiences. But once again, as I said, like Glass ending up on this list is not really a surprise here. Heather Has Two Mommies, picture book, queer content. I've read this one. I thought it was great. It was a little girl trying to navigate, I believe it was Father's Day, or maybe that was another one. I've read so many of these, y'all, because I think there's one where a little girl trying to celebrate Mother's Day, but she has two dads. I don't know. Maybe this one is Heather's. They're celebrating something and she has two moms. It's been a while since I read this one, but it is a picture book that has queer representation. Once again, targeted at a younger audience, queer representation. It's gonna be challenged, it's gonna be banned. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I have not read this. Shame on me. I know you don't have to say it, but I believe that this one has some graphic descriptions of experiences that Maya Angelou went through herself. Madeline and the Gypsies. I have not read that one. My Princess Boy. I have not read that one either. Prince and Knight. I have not read that. Revolutionary Voices, a multicultural queer youth anthology. It's so sad because I feel like most of the times that I do look at these lists or keep up with these lists, it is definitely such a sad sight to see how much of this stuff is directed at the queer community. And it's true. It never fails to be that way. Skippy John Jones. This is like a children's chapter book series too. I don't know why this one would be on this list. I haven't read any, but once again, this is one that a lot of kids at the library love. Okay, so far from the Bamboo Grove, I have not read that one. The Color of Earth, I have not read that one either, which is a series. The Librarian of Basra, I have not read that one, but I believe that Jeanette Winter showed up on this list earlier, I think. And then the Walking Dead series by Robert Kirkman. Surprised to see that one on there. I have read about 4 or 5 volumes of The Walking Dead, and this one definitely probably got challenged or banned because of depictions of violence. There's also some sexual content in it, so those are probably 2 reasons off the top of my head that I can think of why people would try to ban or challenge it. Tricks by Ellen Hopkins. I heard, now I have not read Tricks, I heard that Tricks was super dark, and I was spoiled for the end of Tricks, and yikes, it is a tough book to read, and I don't want to say anything about what it's about because I think in trying to address why it could possibly be challenged or banned, I would spoil the book, and my intention is not to spoil any of these books for anyone. But once again, like I said, Ellen Hopkins, tough content. 99 Uncle Bobby's Wedding, I have not read that one at all, but I wonder if that has queer representation in it. And then the last one is Year of Wonders, which is another one that I have not read. So 100 Book Shawl, these are books that have been challenged or banned from 2010 to 2019. Some of these books I was not expecting to see on this list, especially some of these like popular children's chapter books. Not surprised. What I do want to note about this list is that what you saw for the 2020 list is drastically different than what you see in these years that are listed here. So remember, in the 2020 list, there was quite a few books that were related to the Black experience in America. So once again, having that conversation about the fact that what happens in society also can determine how people will attempt to challenge and ban books. There was an uprise in people wanting to read books about how to be an anti-racist, and of course there's an uprise in people believing that those books should not exist. They need to be challenged. We shouldn't be talking about those issues. So you can see that Jason Reynolds ending up on that list twice, one for Stamped and the other for All American Boys, is not really what typically ends up on this list. Of course, like I said, The Hate U Give, because of its quote-unquote anti-police message, will always end up on probably the most banned and challenged books. I don't know if she will end up on this list in 2021, but she's been on there for so long, I wouldn't be surprised if it is. But it's amazing that a lot of books that discuss racism typically do not end up on this list, but because there was a raise in awareness of their existence, I think, and a lot of discussion surrounding these books, you know, they end up on the 2020 list. So just keep that in the back of your head. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notification. If you're looking for ways to support the channel, the links will be down in the description box. Looking for ways to find me on social media, they'll be down in the description box as well. And I'll be back with another video soon.